The Sunday, before school started this year, I decided to do what one would call a reset. Cleaning my room, organizing my desk, and ridding my closet of things that I just didn't need. And well, in my closet, I opened a drawer, and it was like I was 12 and in 6th grade all over again. Art projects, notebooks, and dumb little things I thought I just had to have, like Legos, Hot Wheels cars, and my old paper dictionary. And for a moment, I sat there thinking, wow, life was so much better back then. And I got this lump in my throat and wanted nothing more than to go back. But then I realized middle school wasn't exactly amazing. The stress of trying to navigate a new school, the mix of BO and Axe body spray, and half the time spent just wishing I was older. And I felt like there was a word for that. So I dug into my dictionary and found nostalgia. See, we like to think of nostalgia as harmless, simply just memories of the good old days. But the underlying truth is, nostalgia can be treacherous. It tricks us into thinking that the past was warm and welcoming, like great-grandma's snickerdoodle cookies. When in reality, they were dry, crumbly, and turns out I don't really like the taste of cinnamon. It tells us to hold on instead of moving forward. And the more we romanticize what was, it becomes that much harder to build what could be. Nostalgia may feel comforting, but in reality, it is a distorted memory that fools us into glorifying the past, keeps us from living in the moment, and holds us back from a better and brighter future. So today, let's discuss and view nostalgia through a new perspective. First, how it distorts our memories and makes the past seem better than it actually was. Then, how that distortion can hold us back, not only from personal growth, but even to the way we view society. Before finally, we'll discuss how we can move on by remembering the past, but not getting stuck in it. That reset reminded me how nostalgia fools us. It edits out the bad parts and creates a highlight reel. And that is where the problem begins. As author of the Minimalist Yearbook, Joshua Milburn puts it, it tells only half-truths. But needless to say, those half-truths are no mistake. They come from the way our memories are processed by our brains. It starts as just a little memory, and then grows into a fully polished memory that makes the past feel wonderful. Aliyah Sidibe, Master in Information Systems in 2022 explains, it is fascinating how the brain works. It takes a few dots from your past and makes up a narrative where everything starts to look rosy. The problem with these rosy memories is that they don't stay in the past. They creep into how we see ourselves and even how we see the world around us. Suddenly, our current state feels so disappointing compared to the good old days, and we feel as though our future could never live up to this picture-perfect vision of our past. And the further we sink in nostalgia, it makes it that much harder to get out. Destiny Harris, in her 2022 write-up, explains, nostalgia can prevent you from living and staying in present moment, which is dangerous. I mean, you can't possibly reach your full potential if you're constantly stuck longing for the past that never was. William Kurlinkis, PhD in philosophy, describes nostalgia as a trap, an endless cycle. Nostalgia can shape the way we think and behave over time. Building on that perspective, Psychology Today in 2023 displays 3 negative impacts from nostalgia, including stagnation, idealization, and comparison and dissatisfaction. Stagnation prevents us from growing. Idealization blinds us to the truth. And constant comparison leaves us dissatisfied with our own reality. When all 3 work together, nostalgia doesn't just color our memories, it reshapes how we live in the present. Instead of moving forward, we get stuck chasing a version of the past that never truly existed. I mean, we all know the dude who graduated 5 years ago and still wears his Letterman jacket every day, stuck in the days when he was the best player coach ever had. In this way, nostalgia traps us in dissatisfaction, blindness, and immobility, leaving little room for genuine growth. But if nostalgia is this destructive, why do we still cling to it? There are deep-seated reasons our minds and emotions pull us back to the past, even when it holds us back. But to understand how we get stuck in nostalgia, we first have to experience it, which, per Robert Klitzman, a professor in clinical psychiatry, is something that about 79% of people do weekly. And there are many different ways to trigger it, regardless of if it's your kindergarten drawings or Firework by Katy Perry. However, one of the biggest reasons we cling to nostalgia is that it acts as a coping mechanism. When life feels stressful, uncertain, or lonely, our minds reach back to the past for comfort. We convince ourselves that those times were safer, simpler, and happier, even if that's not entirely true. And while that comfort can feel good in the moment, it's exactly what makes nostalgia so tempting and so hard to let go of. A National Library of Medicine study shows that the negative effects of nostalgia are actually intensified on days when you feel lonely. Beyond coping, another reason we cling to nostalgia is our longing for certainty. The past feels predictable. We already know how it turned out. In contrast, the present is filled with stress, and the future riddled with unknowns. Kind of the same reason I choose to watch the movie Cars for the millionth time instead of the new Fantastic Four movie. I don't know how it is. I don't know who the characters are. So, our minds take the easy route and retreat into what feels familiar. And I root for Lightning McQueen once again. Nostalgia offers us a false sense of control in a world that constantly feels out of control. And that illusion keeps pulling us back, whether we realize it or not. And that's partly the reason that nostalgia halts progression. Because we are so afraid of the uncertainty of the future and building what could be, that we don't even try to advance. I mean, it's like hiding under the blanket fort you built when you were 6. Cozy, sure, but not a life plan. And that's the trap. Nostalgia makes us feel safe, only at the expense of moving forward. But if we know that coping, certainty, and comfort are what pulls us back, then the real challenge becomes figuring out how to break free. Because if nostalgia can be caused by the way we think and feel, it can be challenged by the way we choose to live. And that starts with learning to stay grounded in the present. Instead of turning towards nostalgia as a coping mechanism, try journaling or meditation, or go create new memories. A Psychology Today report in 2024 shows how practicing mindfulness can help us to be more satisfied with our everyday lives. Now, these activities don't erase the past, but they do stop it from controlling our everyday lives. We should also focus on reframing our perspectives. Instead of uncertainty and fear, look to the future as opportunity and a chance to be adventurous. Yes, the future may be unpredictable, but that's the best part of it. It holds space for opportunities that the past just never could. Choose to go down the complex path instead of retreating into the light of simpler times. As the APA states, people who view the future and uncertainty as a chance for growth tend to experience higher resilience and life satisfaction. In other words, the past doesn't have to be a prison. It can be a springboard. Today, we viewed nostalgia through a new perspective. First, how it distorts our memories and makes the past seem better than it actually was. Then, how that distortion can hold us back, not only from personal growth, but even to the way we view society. Before finally, we discussed how we can move on by remembering the past, but not getting stuck in it. So, what does this all mean for us? Nostalgia is powerful. It can comfort us in difficult times, make the past seem better than it actually was, and even convince us to stay stuck instead of moving forward. But now that we understand how it works, how it thrives on coping, comfort, and the illusions of certainty, we have the tools to make a choice. We can let nostalgia pull us back into memories that no longer serve us, or we can use it to fuel our growth and creativity, to guide us forward. Like when I sat in my closet, surrounded by old art projects and Hot Wheels cars, feeling that lump in my throat. That moment reminded me how easy it is to fall for nostalgia's trap. But it also reminded me that the past isn't fixed. It's a story our brains tell us, and we get to decide how we let that story influence our present. Every moment, every good old day can be a spark, something that reminds us of who we are, what we value, and what we're capable of creating. So the next time you find yourself drifting into a memory, pause, feel it, learn from it, and then step forward. Step into the present with intention, creativity, and confidence. Don't let nostalgia be the driver of your story. Be the author.